Chessable is undoubtedly one of the cornerstones of chess education. It's a platform that hosts the widest collection of chess courses on the planet and has existed since 2012. But the question is, for a lot of people that are new to chess or have never used it before, is it actually good? Well, in today's video, I plan on answering that question. If you're not familiar with this series, we take products or platforms such as Chessly or Take, and I give you guys my brutally honest review. We'll divide the video up into 4 sections: user interface, the course functionality, the learn features, and the pro subscription. Each category will be rated individually out of 10, and by the end of this video, we'll have my brutally honest review. Before we do start this video, I should mention that I have not at all been paid to make this video, and I will in fact lose money making this video to pay for my editors. So if you guys do enjoy today's video and want to help support videos like it, feel free to check out my Patreon with the link in the description below, where you guys can get bonus videos every week. But with all that being said, let's see just what Chessable has to offer. User interface. As we always do with this series, the first thing that we need to look at is the user interface. A lot of people disagree on this kind of thing and argue how important it actually is, but considering that Chessable is a learning platform and there are multiple studies suggesting that UI and UX heavily contribute to the way that people learn, it's definitely a topic that we want to cover. To start with, all of the browsing menus on Chessable are really simplistic and clean from what I can tell. There's no hypermodern animations when scrolling or anything that makes the page lag, and it's just a really well laid out view of everything available on the platform. There's also a toolbar at the top, which by the way you have to click on for the drop down to occur, which I absolutely love because there's nothing more frustrating than trying to navigate a website and the Great Wall of China pops up on your screen because you hovered over the wrong thing. Anyway, it couldn't be more clear where everything is. All the features can be found in their most logical places, the color scheme is great, and most importantly, everything works. My criticisms for the UI start to pile up when we actually get started on a course though. For this video, we'll be going through John Bartholomew's 1D4 repertoire, which you guys can try out yourselves for free. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. But goddamn, this page gets uglier the more you scroll down. I'll put a timestamp on screen for those who want to skip all of my nitpicky criticisms, but for those who are interested, let's start. There's a nice bit of information at the top of the screen showing the author, their credentials, and what users rated the course. I tend to think rating something as intricate as a chess course probably shouldn't be condensed into a 10-point rating system, but in fairness, Chessable tracks decimal point figures, so that's actually super useful. There's a button to share the course on X, which is fine, but next to it is this thing called rubies. If you hover over it, it says rubies are given to an author to indicate how much people liked the course. Well, surprise, surprise, guess what you can buy for real money in the Chessable store? Rubies. Yeah, you can tell chess.com owns this platform. I think the best way for me to show you guys how ugly this page is just to show you an unedited video of me scrolling down. This looks like it hasn't been updated since the website launched in 2012. And the fact that literally 90% of the page is just lazily formatted reviews instead of it all being more condensed is confusing. I mean, you get to a certain point of the page and I'm thinking, why are we only using like 30% of the page width to display this information? Anyway, for those who skipped up to this point, welcome back. You only missed everything, so don't feel too bad about it. But moving on. If you click on learn, you can actually start the course, and for some reason, the timer starts immediately. I feel like once you click on the course, you should again be prompted to start the timer. It shouldn't just start automatically. Speaking of the timer, if you pause it, the pieces on the board disappear, so you're actually forced to be attentive and not lazily make your way through the course, which is really cool. We'll touch on more things like that later, but for now, I mean, the UI is pretty basic. For reference, I rated the UI on Chessly a 9 out of 10 and said that it was nearly perfect. I'd describe the Chessable UI as just good enough. It's nothing special, but everything is clear, the information throughout the course is appropriately displayed, and it's pretty impossible to get lost at any point. Chessable is light mode by default, which is weird as studies show that within companies who roll out dark mode as an option on their website, 60 to 80% of users opt for it, so Chessable being light mode by default is a strange choice. Maybe you could argue that light mode on by default promotes more attentive learning than dark mode, but I don't know, I don't think it really matters that much anyway. You can click on your profile in the top right and turn dark mode on, but when you click on the cogwheel within a course and navigate to all settings, the option for dark mode isn't there, which is also strange. But for the rest of this video, we'll be using dark mode, so everything is a little bit more easy on the eyes. Anyway, there's a bunch of options here, like changing the board color or the piece set type, so you do have some customization, but unfortunately there's no background customization, so you're stuck with what you get. Anyway, apart from this, there's a bunch of useful buttons beneath the right side panel that show a bunch of features or tools, which are super useful, but we'll get into those later in the video. That's pretty much all there is for the UI on Chessable, so we can wrap up the first quarter of the video here. We mentioned before that Chessly scored a 9 out of 10 for their UI, which by the way, if you're interested in that episode, I'll leave a link to the playlist in the description below. But in comparison, I think that Chessable just deserves a 6 out of 10 here. If you disagree with that rating, you really need to go and check out the Chessly video because their UI is amazing. But Chessable's UI just feels outdated in a lot of ways, and considering Chess.com's company motto is, if it doesn't make us revenue, we're not going to change it, does make a little bit of sense. Anyway, I think we can all agree that the UI is not the meat and potatoes of Chessable, so we can move on. Let's take a look at the course functionality. So there's actually a lot of really cool things that I want to talk about when it comes to course functionality on Chessable, which differs largely from a platform like Chessly in a lot of unique ways. In some cases, admittedly, it's uniquely bad, but in other cases, it's uniquely good. So let's look at them. First of all, the pause timer feature is really cool, like we mentioned earlier. If you're not quite ready to start the course, it hides the board and pauses the clock. The concept of a timer is so important to learning in my eyes, as it promotes the user being an active participant and incentivizes you to stay on the same page. A timer adds stakes to the course, making the user feel like they need to pay attention or they might run out of time. Nothing really happens if you do run out of time. You can always go back and try again, but the concept is great for learning. The read mode is also great. You can access it through a button on the right side panel, which stops the clock and allows you to read through the variations as a whole and understand why certain moves are played. Once you feel you understand the variation well, you can turn off read mode and play out the line. You can also bring up an analysis board for the position if you'd like. Negative points to Chessable for forcing you to open a new window to do it, as this just feels very clunky. I mean, it's 2026, unless you're being redirected to an entirely different website, there's no need to open a new window. The analysis board is fine though, it does the job and I have no criticisms of it. Something I really love about the courses on Chessable is the fact that you can click on this button called Notes. Again, it takes you to a different page, so negative points, but I didn't even think of how useful it might be for community members leaving comments at various points throughout the course. Like, if you're confused about something that the course didn't quite clarify, there's the option to see if other people were confused about the same thing in the notes section. Chessable also has this button for you to play out the current position against the computer, which I just think should be the industry standard for chess courses. I thought it was a little bit lazy that it just redirects you to chess.com to play against the engine there, but I mean, it works, so I suppose it's fine. For the record, I think Chessly's Levybot is a little bit better, but Chessable's version is good too. You can ask for hints throughout the course and give up if you're really stuck to have the move spoiled for you. There's also a little box you can tick to only learn the priority lines in the course, which I think is a great addition for people who might want to come back to the rare lines later. I do think that although Chessable has a bunch of really cool features, the fact that none of them are forcibly implemented into the course is kind of lame. Like, right now, we're just memorizing moves and understanding what they do. I think that great courses should build intuition on top of understanding. This is a criticism I had with Chessly's courses as well. If we've got the possibility of playing a position versus the bot, why not force that as a part of the course? It would break up the repetitive memorization of the course and allow the user to apply what they had just learnt in a real game. I just don't think that putting the feature in front of them as a possibility is good enough. Like, you wouldn't go into a grade 10 science class and tell them that their textbooks are there, but they don't have to use them. People will just do the bare minimum when it comes to courses because they think they can. You guys watching might apply yourselves personally and definitely get your money's worth, but unless the course actually prompts you to do those things, a lot of people won't. It's also worth mentioning the variety of courses on Chessable is absolutely immeasurable. I mean, I only really looked at the free courses for this video, and there's basically a free course for everything, so you can imagine how many great paid courses there are too. But one thing I really want to mention is that authors on Chessable only receive 40% of the revenue made from their course. Like, to me, that's just criminal. To tell authors that they only deserve 40% of the revenue for the course that they made in its entirety is insane. The course existing on Chessable is not a good reason for Chessable to be taking 60% of the profits. And it gets even worse than this. Wait until later in the video when we look at the Chessable Pro subscription, and it actually gets worse. For comparison, on YouTube, I get 55% of the ad revenue and YouTube gets 45%. On a platform like Patreon, I get 95% and Patreon only gets 5%. The argument can be made that Chessable puts your course in front of a whole group of people that are interested in buying courses. But I don't know, that sounds like a monopoly to me, and I couldn't in good conscience say that it warrants Chessable taking a 60% cut. If they had a more reasonable split for their creators, I would really give Chessable a 7 or 8 out of 10 in this category. But considering that Chessable thinks their authors only deserve 40% of the revenue, I think that they deserve 40% of a perfect score and get a 4 out of 10 here. Now, let's look at the learn features on Chessable. Although they're not integral, I actually thought that Chessable had a couple of really cool features on their website. Their opening explorer is pretty basic, it's just ripped straight from chess.com, but in all fairness, it does work. There's still this really cool feature on the bottom right though, where you can search courses from this position. This is such a useful feature to have on a website like this, as if you've played a game of chess and a certain rare line occurred that you were confused about, you can put it into the opening explorer and find every course on the platform that has explained it. You can also add lines to your course from this page, but the majority of us aren't going to make our own course, so that's more of a quality of life thing. Moving on though, the analysis board on Chessable is fine, which we already went over as it's basically ripped from chess.com again. There are some specific tools in the Pro subscription that we'll also cover in the next section, so let's skip over difficult moves for now. But there's also Puzzle Connect. You can connect Chessable with your chess.com account and explore puzzles Chessable takes from your actual chess.com games. This is such a cool feature, and it makes you wonder why this isn't just on chess.com in the first place. The ability to go back and retry tactics you missed in your real games as a puzzle mode is so unbelievably useful. Unfortunately, you only get 10 puzzles without paying, so even though this is technically a free feature, I feel the paywall cancels it out. Chessable also has a how-to section on their website, which is supposedly meant to be tutorials on how to do certain things, like how to study tactics and strategy. These tutorials are pretty horrific, to be honest. It's so unbelievably corporate and basically just tells you how great their courses are. The advice outside of that is extremely surface level and in a lot of cases just bad. I also thought it was hilarious that they have a 3-minute tutorial video on how to buy rubies in the Chessable store. Like, a goddamn tutorial on how to throw your money away is equal in length to their tutorial on how to study tactics. I will give it to them that that classroom feature is pretty useful. I only played around with it for a little while, so I'm not 100% certain, but chess.com's classroom feature is diabolically bad compared to Lichess's study feature. From what I found though, the classroom feature on Chessable was fine. It's a super useful addition for coaches trying to walk their students through opening theory without needing to deviate platforms. Overall, the free learn features on Chessable are just pretty good, and I think they deserve a 7 out of 10. They're fine, but out of all of the features, none of them really go above and beyond, and they're kind of just what you would expect of a platform like Chessable. In saying that, a few of those features did only come under the Chessable Pro subscription, which we'll take a look at now. First of all, it's either $12 monthly or $75 yearly, which is actually a pretty reasonable price and even cheaper than chess.com subscription. However, I'm a little confused as to how it gives you a minimum discount of 30% off all courses. My first concern is, whose split is that 30% being taken out of? Is it Chessable's or is it the author's? I'd like to give the benefit of the doubt and say it's an equal split taken out of both sides, but even if this is the case, from my research, the authors don't see a cent of this money. So Chessable incentivizes users to buy the Chessable Pro subscription, and they do this by taking away a percentage of the revenue of its authors, which by the way is already a very low 40%, and in return, the author gets nothing. They get a 0% cut of the subscription revenue that is generated by Chessable Pro. I do understand that this might incentivize people to buy a course when they otherwise wouldn't have, but why is it up to Chessable on who gets a discount on courses that they just didn't make? I know that legally Chessable has every right to do this as the authors just signed their rights away, but it's just such an unbelievably greedy system that I don't approve of at all. Authors should be treated far better on Chessable. You can get access to 300 plus short courses through the Pro subscription, which, I mean, I can't really go through all 300, but when it comes to this kind of thing, usually they're all just filler and not super personalized nor useful. Like we mentioned earlier, you also get unlimited puzzles through the Puzzle Connect feature, and by unlimited, I mean 1,000, which is a surprisingly low amount considering you can get unlimited puzzles on Lichess for free. So I'm not sure what reason Chessable has for having a limit when they're literally charging for it. You can also get offline mode for Chessable with the Pro subscription, which to me feels like a feature that should be free anyway. You can also go back to difficult moves, which is a Pro feature. It basically allows you to go back and practice all of the moves you consistently get wrong throughout your courses. It's baffling to me that this is a paid feature and doesn't exist by default. You can also get full access to the Chessable Move Trainer, which you only have partial access to for free, which is just free on literally any other course website. All in all though, the Chessable Pro subscription is going to make history on this series by being the first category ever rated a negative number. Not only does their subscription add absolutely nothing of value, but it simultaneously takes money away from the authors on Chessable. For their paid subscription, Chessable gets a -1 out of 10. Before we summarize and go through everything that we've already talked about today, I wanted to leave you guys with this. It's a review I found from a Chessable user I'll leave it up on screen as I talk, but in short, Chessable allows its authors to make false claims in course descriptions and doesn't hold them accountable if the course doesn't deliver. This is just straight up false advertisement, and I'm not even blaming the authors in this case. It's incredible that Chessable doesn't check for these kind of things, and to my knowledge, it's very difficult to report a course as well. Like, I just couldn't even figure out a way to report a course, so I assume community efforts to hold authors accountable would be futile. So if you are interested in getting a course on Chessable, just be extra careful, because there's a non-zero chance you'll just be buying a course that doesn't live up to its promises. Anyway, now that we've gone through that, let's remind ourselves of what we rated each category. The Chessable UI was just pretty average. I don't think it's the end of the world, but I think we can all agree it's a bit outdated and could use some work. We gave it a 6 out of 10, which I think is an accurate reflection of what exists on their platform. As far as course functionality goes, everything is pretty solid. There's some good features like community notes on courses, which something like Chessly doesn't have, but I don't know, my morals just can't look past the fact that authors are only getting 40% of the revenue. I know a lot of people will disagree with this rating, but I mean, come on, is it that difficult to just give an even split for you and your creators? For this category, we gave them a 4 out of 10. The learn features were pretty basic. I think the 7 out of 10 we gave them could be generous, but I mean, I'm not really sure there's a whole lot of room for innovation in this department without straying away from the fact that this is a course website. And finally, for the first time in the history of this series, a category scores in the negatives with an absolutely diabolically bad subscription service that gives you absolutely nothing and simultaneously steals money away from the authors that makes your platform possible. We gave them a -1 out of 10 for their Chessable Pro service. All in all, I think that Chessable deserves a 5 out of 10. Of course, this is in no way insinuating that the course quality on Chessable is bad. For a platform like Chessable, that is just unquantifiable because of just how many courses there are. We were able to give Chessly a rating because the courses were all made by one person, but for something like Chessable, it's just not possible. You can definitely find a variety of amazing courses there, but the platform itself is just pretty subpar. I didn't let the pro subscription get in the way of the final rating too much. You can get away with not paying for it pretty easily, but the fact that it does take away more money from its authors just had to come into effect. But all things considered, I just don't like Chessable. I do like the courses there, but those have nothing to do with the platform and everything to do with the amazing and talented authors that are unfortunately stuck in a monopolized industry where they have to take what they can get. Other than that, I hope you all enjoyed today's episode of my brutally honest review. Again, if you guys want to support this series, feel free to check out my Patreon with the link in the description below. I really appreciate all the support from you guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys would like me to review next as well. But apart from that, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one.